Welcome to Lesson 3 of Flash. And at this lesson, you're finally going to learn how to animate. You're going to learn how to animate the boat and make the boat move from one side of the screen to the next. Okay? Now in Flash, animation is a series of frames. Okay? Now in the past, each frame had to be drawn separately. All right? Which was time consuming. All right? But again, advent of computers makes things a little bit easier. As long as we tell the computer where to start and then where to end, the computer itself will fill in those individual frames or the in-betweens. All right? So let's get started. First off, we have to know what a keyframe is. All right? A keyframe is the actual position of an object. Okay, so if we want to have an object at a certain place, we have to insert what's called a keyframe. Okay, so all these little dots right here, those are keyframes. Okay, that is where an object is placed. All right, these are frames. So if I say frame 5, this would be frame 5, frame 10, frame 15 of the ocean layer. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Or make sure all your layers are visible and unlocked any locked layers. So we'll unlock the ocean. Okay. Now, think of this as battleship. I want to click on frame 20 of the ocean 1 layer. So here's ocean 1. I go over here. I click on frame 20. Frame 20 is now highlighted. I'm going to insert a frame, and I can do that several ways. Or right-click, insert frame. All right. Now, by inserting a frame, it just takes what was drawn on frame 1 and fills it all the way into frame 20. Now, yes, boat, ocean 2, and sky disappear, and that's because we haven't done anything to those layers yet, and all that still exists on frame 1. Okay, now ocean 2, we're going to select frame 20, and we're going to insert a frame. Notice now ocean 2 pops up, and then we're going to do the same thing for the sky layer. Select frame 20, insert frame. So everything that is so far not going to be moving, we've inserted frames so that the computer fills it all the way in. Okay, now the boat is going to be moving. So I select the first keyframe. Go ahead, if you haven't done so already, make sure your ocean 1, ocean 2, and sky layers have frames inserted at 20. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and select the boat on frame 1. Notice that everything is selected because it is a symbol. We're going to click and drag the boat over here. All right, this is the beginning keyframe. We're telling the boat where to start, and that's represented by this little dot right here. Now, in order for this to travel all the way over to the right, we have to tell the computer on frame 20 where we want the boat to be. So I select frame 20. Now, instead of inserting a frame, I need to insert a keyframe. Keyframes let us animate. It lets us move an object so that the computer can later fill in the rest. Notice my boat shows up. I'm now going to drag it to where I want it to end. All right, so beginning keyframe, keyframe 1, over here on the left. I insert a keyframe here on 20, and I move it over to the right. Now notice if we move it, nothing happens. It stays, and then jumps. Okay. What we need to do is now the computer has to do the work. So anywhere on the boat layer, in between frames 1 and 20, you're going to select and create a motion tween. Notice it turns purple and you get an arrow, and if I take my red playhead, it now moves from left to right. Voila. So go ahead and make sure your boat is able to move from left to right. Make sure your beginning keyframe and end keyframes are in the two places that you want. And again, the motion tween will let everything fill in. When you're done, file save. You've just animated your first object. Okay, so now that our boat is moving from left to right, we actually want to create a more realistic animation, and we're going to have the boat move up and down in the waves. So in doing that, we have to create what's called a motion guide, or a guideline for the boat to follow. So if you haven't done so already, highlight the boat layer, and then down here you're going to click on the icon that says Add Motion Guide. Notice that adds a guide layer right on top. It's on this guide layer that you will draw your line.